Well, Norwegian Cruise Line seemingly can't catch a break this week. The bad news continues for the line that already was dealing with financial questions, and while the latter seem to have been solved, the former, well, let's talk about it now. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Hey, welcome to the Midships channel. I'm your Captain Corey, and thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. And before we get into today's cruise news, which is stacked with not great news, at least for one cruise line, it's time for our question of the day. Today's question, which is faster, Wonder of the Seas or the Titanic? Go ahead and comment your answer down below, and I'm actually going to give you the answer to this question later on in the episode, but no cheating. Now, moving on to today's cruise news. We have this CDC relaxing even more guidelines for cruising. Holland America Line is seeking to make it easier for passengers to get on board. One cruise line says soda pop for kids, it's gonna cost more. And the Norwegian Escape, the ship that ran aground, has set sail for her home port of Miami. We'll give you all the details that we know about the damaged ship. And the Escape, it's not the only Norwegian cruise ship that's having problems and is currently now limping back to their home port in Miami because the Norwegian Joy just skipped a port call in Cozumel and had to head back home towards Miami as well. According to Norwegian Cruise Line, the Joy was supposed to call on Cozumel, Mexico, March 17th. However, due to an unknown propulsion issue impacting the ship's top speed, that port of call was canceled. Norwegian sent out the following statement on the evening of March 16th. Norwegian Joy's propulsion pod experienced technical issues, causing the vessel to slightly reduce its speed, impacting its docking and undocking mechanisms. As a result, the ship's call to Cozumel, scheduled March 17th, is canceled, and instead the ship will proceed to Miami for needed repairs. Norwegian remains optimistic that the issue is going to be quickly resolved, and they hope that it's not going to impact any upcoming voyages. And we might as well just keep ripping the band-aid off here for Norwegian Cruise Line because they're making news for all the wrong reasons today. Let's talk about them raising even more prices on board their ship. As longtime viewers of this channel will know, recently Norwegian came out and said, we're going to raise our gratuities across the board. They raised it up to $2, I think. It could have been even more. Now, they have one of the highest gratuities in the entire industry, mind you. They also have the highest paid CEO in the cruise industry as well, Frank Del Rio. However, they've now come out and said, well, we're going to raise the price of soda pop for kids. Yeah, that's right. They're going after the kids now on Norwegian. So, mom, dad, parents, take note. According to cruisely.com, they say Norwegian has taken the children's soda package completely off of their website. Gone are the good old days where you could get the kids' drink package, soda package, for $2 less than the adult package. It'd be $5.95 instead of $7.95 for adults. It doesn't seem like a huge difference, but over the course of a week-long cruise, it's an extra $14 per child, plus the gratuities will be extra as well. Remember, 20% gratuities on top of now a higher price. So, remember, Norwegian was one of the few cruise lines that took a really hard stance against making any sort of pricing concessions during the cruise restart. Their CEO, Frank Del Rio, was extremely adamant that if they lowered their pricing for cruises, people would be upset once they started raising them back up again, which, you know, credit where it's due, he could have been right about, because I've noticed that some other cruise lines, Carnival, looking at you here, they've started raising prices and people are starting to take note and ask questions about it. I've had questions in my inbox several times. You guys know I'm on Instagram, right? At Midships Cruise. You can find me there. Yeah, there's a link in the description and I'll pin one up here in the upper right. If you have any questions or comments or some cool news tips, leave them in my DMs there on Instagram or Facebook. So getting back to this talk about cruise lines raising prices, Carnival, for instance, I used to be able to hop on their ships for like $100 for a 5-night cruise. No problem, no questions asked. Maybe even cheaper than that. You know, I gamble though, so that's probably why. If you gamble, you know the rates are pretty sweet. But now if you look at cruises moving on into the fall, the prices are going up $500, $600, $700 to get into a cabin. And that's a big difference for people. That's a big difference. And it's gonna affect onboard spending as well. So just take note, if you wanna book a cruise, it's not going to be any cheaper if you wait. It's probably going to cost more. You know what else is a big difference? You clicking over to the Midships merch store. There you can find all of the best designs created by me, and you can wear them on your next cruise. If you'd like to support this channel, you could wear some logo, tanks, tees, sweatshirts, hoodies, or you can find some other designs like Cruise Duck Hunting Champion or the I Bought the Drinks package shirt. Honestly, that's my favorite one. The best part is your purchase directly helps support this channel and my work. It keeps me cruising and cruise newsing. So let's get back to the news. And wow, there's a lot for Norwegian Cruise Line, and honestly, not a lot of it's really good this weekend. Remember that ship that ran aground, the Escape? Pitbull's the godfather of that one? Well, it's officially now departed Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic, and she's limping her way back to Miami, Florida, according to several news outlets. Supposedly, only crew members are traveling on board the ship, and there's literally still reports coming out that passengers might still be waiting a week after this ship ran aground to get home to the US and escape this whole ordeal. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and I'll provide any updates, further news that comes out of the pipeline on this developing story. Now, in other major cruise news for the weekend, the CDC has finally gone ahead and relaxed even more protocols for cruise ships operating here in the US. Now, the changes might seem less than significant, but perhaps there's a bigger story going on here than just, it's easier to get on a ship or it's easier to do stuff on a ship. Perhaps it's even vindicating this channel and what I've been telling you all along, that cruising is the safest way to travel during this global pandemic. According to CLIA, Cruise Line International Association, they say the updates announced by the CDC acknowledge the effectiveness of the cruise lines and their ability to create an environment that provides the highest levels of COVID mitigation, and it reflects the improvements in the public health landscape. That's a lot of words for saying that cruises are really safe, and they were at the forefront of keeping travelers safe during their trips. So what exactly are the guideline updates, you might ask? Well, one of the bigger ones is going to be that guests can now take part in more onboard experiences on their cruise. Now, it depends on the ship and the line, of course. It could be something like taking cooking classes in the ship's kitchen, tours of the bridge, or playing laser tag. Or, Royal has this cool little VR thing on Odyssey of the Seas. It was closed. I wasn't able to do it when I cruised. They claimed it was social distancing or COVID. However, now that the CDC is removing these requirements for operators like Royal, does that mean I have to sail on the Odyssey of the Seas again just so I can get in their little VR room? Yeah, I think I might have to do that. It's a really darn good ship. How can you blame me, okay? The CDC's updates went on to say that ships with highly vaccinated or standard of excellence vaccinations, which is the highest, like 100% vaxxed, cruise vax, everyone cruising's vaxxed, they have boosters, all of that good stuff. Okay, those ships, they don't even need to recommend physical distancing anymore for shore excursions. And previously it was kind of a requirement. And perhaps one of the coolest or most noteworthy changes, it comes to the quarantine guidance for close contacts on board a ship. So a close contact basically means you ate at the same hibachi table with somebody who later comes down positive for COVID on board the ship. Well, typically, you'd be pulled away from your cabin, the cruise line would come in, pack all your stuff up, and whisk you away to a quarantine area on the ship. Well, it's going to change now because close contacts are able to be identified on board, and now the close contacts, depending on the circumstances at least, they're able to quarantine in their own cabin. You don't have to be whisked away to some secret area of the ship, stored with all the other folks who are positive for COVID or potentially positive. You're able to just comfortably stay in your own cabin, which honestly, that's a lot more ideal. Okay, so earlier in the episode, I asked you a question of the day, right? Which ship is faster, Titanic or Wonder of the Seas? Well, did you get it right? It seems like size might not be the only thing Wonder of the Seas wins, but the Titanic at least takes the speed record by 1 knot. The Titanic had a top speed of 23 knots, whereas Wonder of the Seas, a lot larger ship, she can only do a measly 22 knots. All right, I'm talking too much. Enough of the fluff. We've got cruise news, and the next story, it should inspire you quite a lot. A cruise line sailing under the Carnival umbrella, Costa Cruises, is officially offering one of their ships to help house Ukrainian refugees fleeing from Russia. So all these folks leaving their country, they need a place to stay, and cruise lines, like usual, they're the ones stepping up and helping out all of these people around the world who find themselves in less than ideal circumstances, or in this case, horrible circumstances. Russia, shame on you. Okay, the company is offering the Costa Magica, I think they pronounce it. They have all these fun names over there that at least I can't say any of them. I'm really bad. Okay, so the Costa Magica is currently out of service, but they've offered it to the Italian government as a potential housing ship for these refugees coming from Ukraine. Now, the number of refugees arriving in Italy, it's steadily increasing every day, and I'd expect it to go up further and further in the coming weeks. And in further generosity, Costa Cruise Line, they're actually going to be footing the bill for this, for helping keep the ship running, housing all the individuals, staffing on the ship. So great work, Costa Cruise Line. It's really awesome to see these companies stepping up like this. And remember, this is a Carnival brand. So if you're a cruiser in the US, if you cruise Carnival, it's likely a little bit of that money you spend, it might even go to help out these refugees. Only time will tell. Hopefully Carnival makes an announcement that they're pitching in, and some other cruise lines can get on board with this. It's a pretty good ship pun. Now, I do need to remind you that here at Midships, we have an Amazon influencer storefront. It's right there on Amazon, and basically that's where you can find all the cruise essentials I take with me every single time I cruise. Things like passport holders or organizational tools, all kinds of things. Those metal hooks for your cabin, love those things. You can find them there. Everything ships for Prime. It's like $8 to $20 for most of it. And if you're curious about some of the camera equipment that I use, you can also find it in there. So check it out in the links down below. And remember, just clicking the link, even if you don't buy anything, it does help support this channel and my work a little bit. So if you made it this far into today's episode, why haven't you subscribed to this channel yet with the bell notification turned on? Now, thanks so much for stopping by the channel today. And until tomorrow, we'll see ya on the Midships. Whoa. Not used to being on a chair that swivels.
La 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 la